Um, I just thought this morning we'd talk a little bit about freedom. And it seems that the deeper that I look at this state of freedom, the the more the hey, you guys, welcome. The more I see the simplicity of it. It's just like, oh my gosh, it's just right there. There's nothing really to do. Um, but I want to speak about it this morning a little bit from the perspective of the addict or the alcoholic. Now, almost everybody that I spend any time with recognizes that at one level we're addicted to something. But if we're addicted to ideas, we're addicted to the concept of the mind, it isn't so likely to kill us as the addiction to drugs and alcohol. But it does so because we don't really live. And so we've been conditioned through our lives to believe that we've come here to somehow. Thank you, Teresa Ann. Appreciate that. We've been conditioned to believe that somehow we've come here to achieve things. We've been taught since we were little that we have to get an education so that we can look after ourselves and so that we can achieve. And thank you, Teresa Ann. I appreciate you being here. And so we've been taught that we need to achieve, and that we have to, to trust the mind in that achievement. And so our conditioning hasn't been based on a understanding of life as so much as we've been told that we must achieve, and so we start to build up judgments around achievement, or we start to build up a desire to get things, and we're kind of instead of being taught as a child to be with what is in the moment, to love what is in the moment, to accept what is in the moment. We've mostly been taught that we should be different than how we are, or that somehow we need to be more than what we are. And so we're really brought into a world of right and wrong and good and bad. And now there's nothing wrong with that world. It can actually be, we all kind of live in that world. We can have some fun there, really, as long as we don't take it too seriously. And so I think that many of us, this was, I guess I didn't realize, I didn't call it this in the beginning, but many of us want to be free. And what do we want to be free of? We want to be free of anger. We want to be free of fear. We want to be free of resentment, right? We want to be free of judgment. Not other people's anger, fear, and judgment and resentment, but our own. We want to be free. Is that true? Is there anybody here that's listening that can say, yes, I that's what I want. I want to be free. I want to be free of fear. Many of us understand and have lived with what I call sometimes a low-grade fear. Psychology might call it anxiety, but a low-grade fear. And many of us have medicated to not experience that. And for me, I medicated young when I discovered alcohol. It was perfect. For a short while, it was perfect. It was like, oh my gosh, look at me. I get a couple of drinks in me, and I was like, yes, wow, yeah, look at the world. But it was false. It didn't have sticking power. It wasn't true. It was But I saw this potential, and then but then I would come down, or I would wake up in the morning and be like, holy shit, what did I do? And so it didn't actually, it was a dead end, but my system craved it. It loved that feeling of utopia, that feeling of euphoria. Is that it? Euphoria. I loved that. I was like, wow. And so I mixed the alcohol with drugs, and I mixed it, and I looked wherever I could find it and then I was told that I would have that if I had money. If money would give me freedom. And and that turned out not to be true. Turned out not to be true. And so what my realization was is that nothing here in this world could give me the freedom I was looking for. It was not possible. And so for me, it took a long time to finally realize that I couldn't trust my thinking, because my thinking was based in fear. My thinking was based in judgment. And I just, even though the first step in the 12 steps of recovery are that I was powerless over whatever my addiction was to life. Truly, I was powerless, and that my life was unmanageable. It said my life had become unmanageable, but I got it that my life was unmanageable by me. I couldn't trust my thinking. And so what a dilemma, to wake up to, holy shit, I cannot trust my thinking. And then to finally surrender that, to say, okay, I surrender unequivocally. I surrender without knowing what's next, without having any idea of to what. I had some beliefs in a higher power. I had some beliefs in some idea of a God. I kind of, as a youth, had let go of my ideas around most of what I've been taught in religion. Because it seemed to me that I had to be a certain way to be accepted there, and I could never achieve that on my own. I couldn't fight my way out of the trap I had gotten myself into of anger and fear and resentment and desire. I couldn't get out of it on my own, and so I just had to surrender without really knowing. And that's the deal, because immediately it's there, because it's always there. We've never been separate from this power, this universal intelligence, this oneness. We've never been separate from it. It's only our mind that had taken over. It was an employee, and it became the boss. So once we achieve this, once we realize that we are that, hi Kayla, once we realize that we are that, once we see that we're one with that universal intelligence, that there is no separation, then we can, the mind is no longer the boss. The mind is no longer the boss. For the practical, we don't even have to think about it. It just looks after things, but not from fear, and not from anger, not from resentment. Good morning. So that's the possibility. So freedom from fear, freedom from resentment, freedom from anger, freedom from desire, freedom from the idea that something should be different or that something's missing is possible. It's truly possible right now, like literally right now, it is possible. We're going to meditate in a minute, and we'll just drop into that space. Stay with me. We'll just drop into that space of emptiness, of oneness. And don't, the mind has no power that you haven't given it. And we're going to discover who that you is. Okay? It has no power. Thought has no power other than the attention that you give it. So when fear comes up and we kind of recognize it, oh, look at that. It's just like I look at my mind or my ego sometimes like a kind of a adolescent, you know, cocky adolescent, you know, or on the other side of the scale, a collapsed, fearful adolescent. And there's a difference between surrender and defeat. In a sense, one comes with an attitude, the other one comes with openness. Surrender is open. Yes. There's no attitude with surrender. Okay. Freedom is available. I'm just sharing with you. If you're interested, do you want it? Do you want it? Isn't it just something that we talk about? It really is. And but I'm willing to talk about it if you want to call and chat, or you want to come over. And I really can't wait till this little bleep in society is over, when we get kind of back to some sort of a life where we can meet and spend time together. Serving and self-serving egos, yes. Yeah. Yeah. Hi, Lordly. Nice to see you, love. Nice to see you. So a couple of quick things on the how-to, if you will, if you want to come into the moment, come into realizing. I mean, the one thing that most of us get is that, and I think you get this, is that the mind can't be trusted. And that from the thinking mind, we're living in a world of want. And so watch that. Become aware. Become conscious of that. Watch that. In a world of meaning. I have a friend who's angry with his children because they didn't tell him something. Angry with his children because they didn't tell him something. Something was going on in his family, and they didn't tell him. And he's angry. He was like, and we chatted about it, because it doesn't really even matter why they didn't tell him, it doesn't matter why. And, it recognized that it happened. And the only thing that can melt the ice in the relationship is love, not anger. Love is the only thing that can melt and heal the distance, is love. And what we're talking about, this oneness that we're talking about, is love. And it's right there. We are that. And so we talked, and he was pretty, he was like, no, I deserve to be angry. I really do. This is going to take a while. And it doesn't need to take a while. Anger, resentment, it's like the cold, icy fingers of fear, and it grips our heart. So we really can't, it's luxury. I won't call it a luxury, but we can't afford it, to spend a minute in that. I love the metaphor, the story of Jesus on the cross. Believe it or not, I'm not preaching Christian doctrine. I'm just saying that the story of this man, the Son of God, if you will, on the cross, saying, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." Now he's at the moment of death, and he's free. So I'm just sharing with you that freedom is possible. We're not talking about that kind of a situation, but that's a great example. That's a great story of letting go. And so it doesn't matter what's been done, how justified we feel that our anger is. That keeps us in that. We're in the prison of that anger. We're the ones that are contracted with that anger, where love is expansive. Love is so it doesn't matter what happens, you know. And if it comes up, just watch it. You know, if we observe it without being attached, it melts away. You know, if we feel like, you know, some people spend their whole life angry. Yes, letting go. That's right. Some people spend their life being angry at some guy or some gal. It isn't a tough one, Laura. Just do it. Just, you know, and a couple of times in my life when I felt that with some people, you know, that I had some real deep-seated anger or resentment towards, I would pray for them. I would just pray for them. I would say, you know, my prayer was always that they would come to know God's will, their life's will in their life. That they would come to know love in their life. That they would come to, you know, self-realize themselves. Not that they would change anything towards me, you know, in a way. Just that they would come to know God's will in their life. And those prayers melted, you know, because I brought attention or I brought love to each moment, you know, to when some of them were kind of really frozen in, you know, icebergs of resentment. How do we melt those icebergs of resentment? Sometimes we just have to, you know, send love to those people. And that don't imagine anybody's going to change. It's not about anybody changing. It's about us getting free, you know. But our freedom frees them as well, because there's no distance or time. Just because somebody can't see us doesn't mean that, you know, at one level they're not aware of the anger or the holding that's going on. So, you know, it frees everybody. Anyway, there's my pitch. Life is too short to dwell. Yes. Life, you know, and that's an intellectual idea, and who's to say about shortness and time? It's just that you know, it's okay. Just do it. Yeah, freedom is there for every one of us in this moment, and we realize that the stories we've made up about ourselves as well. You know, I'm not good enough, right? I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. I don't deserve love. All of those we can just release all that too, because that's all just story. It's not true. And in this moment, none of that is there, just to be here. So I'll just do the reading from this little book, and then we'll meditate and see we can drop into that space. Would you like that? I feel like Mr. Dress Up. Here we go. Put my glasses on, and I think we're on what day is it? The 12th of the 12th at almost 12 o'clock. The 12th of the 12th. Isn't that beautiful? December the 12th. I mean, again, not that time really is true. Here we go. In the book. I love this little book. It's been a really fun journey to read this, you know, to share this book with you guys on you know, since the 1st of May. It's been beautiful. The book was actually written in 1948. I thought it was from 54, but I found some more information on it. And this fella who wrote this book was, you know, in recovery, and some of his writing is just amazing. And it's a little patriarchal, and it's 1948, so some of it's even God forgive him, a little even racist. And so I edit that out sometimes, you know, but it's a beautiful book. And then another group of people got a hold of it in the 60s or the 70s. I forget the name of them, and they rewrote it a little bit and kept it going. So millions of copies of this has gone out, and it's a great daily reading. Okay, December the 12th, thought for the day. Clergy men, or clergy people, speak of spiritual fellowship of the church. This is much closer to the AA way than mere group therapy. Such a fellowship is based in a common belief in God and a common effort to live a spiritual life. We do this in the 12-step world in AA. We do this in the 12-step world. He says we try. I try to take out all his tries. So whenever possible, I remove the word try because he says it a lot. And I replace it with we do this in the 12-step world in AA. We also get down to the real problems in each other's lives. We really open up to each other. We have a real desire to be of service to each other. We go deep down into the personal lives of our members. So, do I appreciate the deep personal fellowship of the 12-step world? Yes. In most cases, when I work with a sponsee, there isn't, the agreement is there that there's nothing that we can't talk about. You know, if we're going to root out or shine the light on the things that have kept us trapped, then we got to go deep. Sometimes, you know, we got to look at those resentments. We got to look at those angers, and the desire, and the beliefs. You know, the selfishness and the self-centeredness and the fear. And when we shine the light on those things, they melt. They literally melt. And then we're free. Freedom is in the process. It really is. Meditation for the day. Love, it says, and fear cannot dwell together. That's exactly what I was saying. That's it. The light is the light of love. Love and fear cannot dwell together. By their very natures, they cannot exist side by side. Fear is a very strong force, and therefore, a weak and vacillating love can soon be routed by fear. But a strong love, a love that trusts in God, trusts in the moment, trusts in each other, a strong love, a love that trusts in God, is sure eventually to conquer fear. The only sure way to dispel fear is to have the love of God more and more in your heart and soul. So the love of God is the love of the moment, the love of universal intelligence, the love of each other. Love is God. Love is the moment. So it's a beautiful way to share this, you know, and love is, you know, when I talk about freedom, that the love is the freedom. Prayer for the day. I pray that love will drive out the fear in my life. I pray that that fear will flee before the power of the love of God. So it's funny because, I mean, that's exactly what I wanted to talk about. And there it was. I just didn't know that it was in today's reading. It's just beautiful, eh? That's the freedom. The whole deal. Be free of fear. And how do we be free of fear? We be here now. We are that in this moment. We are that freedom. We are that oneness. We are that Godness. Not God from an ego standpoint. Not God from something that we can really see or understand. But I love what Bill Wilson said in... Hi, love. I love what Bill Wilson said. Hi, Amelia, I see you, yes. When he said, in We Agnostics, he said, God either is or he isn't. What is our choice to be? Either he's everything or he's nothing. If he's everything, if it's everything, wow. We just, you know, our connection, if you will, our oneness with that everything is in this moment, not in the past with our angers or our future with our fears, but in this moment is the connection to everything. And once we connect with that love in this moment, everything else melts away. The fear is gone. In this moment, there's no fear. So we'll meditate for a couple of minutes and feel that and experience that. That's what we're about to do. Anybody want to experience the moment? Hey, here we go. Okay, let's do that. Be here now. Okay, get yourself comfortable. Emil, you going to meditate with us, son? Yes. Comfortable. You know, nice to have something to support the back. And up to you. Mine feels like it needs a little, thank you, good. My back always needs a little bit of supporting. And so let's just drop in. And I find that the breath is quite magical at bringing me into the moment. Here we go. Let's breathe in. For me, immediately I feel the stillness. It's like, wow. So as we drop in, though, we're going to let go of all of our ideas and all of our concepts and all of our beliefs about life, about ourselves. Many of us realize in a quiet way that we don't know who we are. We recognize that we're not our story, we're not our accomplishments, we're not our adventures. That's just what we've done, or seen, or experienced, but it's not who we are. We are that. We are this in the moment, this quiet space. This oneness, this consciousness, we are this consciousness. And in this moment, there is nothing else. We become literally nobody. Just for a minute, just let everything go. All of our concepts and ideas, and what ifs, and what's next. Just let it all go. There is no next. There's just now. Breath brings us into this now. If thought comes, just let it go. If we get attached, if we get on the thought train, just come back to the breath. Let it go. Use the breath to come back to. The awareness that we're on the thought, I call it the thought train. Even the awareness brings us back. Just drop in. Use the breath. Be here now. Come back when you're ready. I'm here. Somebody's at the door. So I'm going to go and get it. Thanks, you guys. Love you lots. We'll talk soon. So remember, you can have this space, this oneness space, through service, through prayer, through meditation, brings us into it till it becomes just a way of being. All right. Hey, Paul. Love you, bro. Thanks so much, you guys.